Eric and I actually kind of go back quite a ways, and it was a funny coincidence that we got paired together in some ways. Maybe not coincidental on CounterPULSE's part, but for us it was a pleasant surprise to be paired together because we had worked together in a company probably like 8 or so years ago, and he and I have very different aesthetics. Our sensibility of kind of how we structure work and what experiences we are going for or trying to elicit and how we build work, they're very different, wildly different, and it's something we've kind of always known, but I think there's a real deep respect for each other's processes, and so it's been really lovely to have somebody who has just these radically different questions coming up for him when he sees my work. Like, he just has these whole different perspectives that directions I would never think about, or questions I wouldn't be thinking about, and yet they don't feel random or, you know, ones that I just kind of wanted. They're not discardable because I also really value and understand like his process, and so they're ones that there's something about having somebody who you find that you often disagree with, but that you enjoy disagreeing with them because the disagreement actually helps you find new things in your own process and in your own thinking that I wouldn't have discovered otherwise. And Eric really feels like the kind of perfect person for that. We've had a lot of conversations, I think, especially around the space. I always knew from the very beginning, because of wanting this to kind of initially come out of a bar setting, I always knew that I really wanted to play with space and play with audience and get them mixed up. And I think Eric and I kind of came from oppositional places at the beginning, where he was really wanting this a much bigger open space for his work, and then his work has really shifted over the course of the residency, and I think because from the very beginning we had really clear conversations around our interests around this, and we were both very upfront about what we wanted to do with the space. When it came to those places where we were both changing our vision, it was easy to continue the conversation rather than to try to start up a new conversation. And we found that we've discovered this whole spatial arrangement that actually feels like it's allowed both of the works to blossom within it, and it gives them kind of a cohesiveness or a unity that I think we're both really excited about. Because I don't like the idea of... I was never a fan of the shared residency, but that it's kind of like, oh, here's a piece, and then we have intermission, and here's this whole new piece, and this whole new piece has kind of nothing to do with this other one, or they might thematically be similar, but they're totally different universes, and that might still happen for ours, but I feel like I'm enjoying the fact that we're really trying to kind of make them actually one universe, and this one environment that people kind of just follow along through this meandering place, and they'll come out at the end of Eric's, having experienced the journey of the whole evening, and then having these kind of micro experiences of just my work and of just Eric's, but then there's kind of this big macro experience of that whole, the whole evening. So, well, I think, it's at that challenging point where I feel like creatively we've kind of just gone into the dark tunnel, where lots of the pieces are kind of starting to take shape, but how they all fit together is still a little nebulous, and everyone's a little emotional because we've gotten to some of that core content, and yet we haven't gotten to the stability and the safety of it being set or framed in a certain kind of a way. So it just feels everyone's a little bit on edge. So it's kind of the exciting place, I think, in the work, where you kind of just have to keep pushing through and holding on to what's going on with the vision, and stay true to that. Like, okay, that I need to just edit that out because it's not useful, and it's not actually relevant. And so that's kind of where I feel like the piece is at. This kind of really fertile, quirky place. And then of course it's coming in the midst of, the actual middle of the residency, and then that has its own sensibility of we're starting to get these works in progresses, and people are starting to come in. We had Monique Jenkinson came in just the other day to kind of watch a rehearsal and give feedback, and so it's also a place where it's starting to be seen by outside eyes, and I think as a choreographer, that's when things start switching for me as well, where I'm less in the work and more start to become not so much fly on the wall, but hovering above the work in a way. So trying to navigate how to hold on to that frame, and then also just staying in, because I'm in the piece, how to stay in the work and emotionally connected to it, and